This video's title is clickbait. That's because it isn't the cutest girl that comes over to our protagonist's house, but it's the second cutest. You're probably wondering, why didn't the author just make her the cutest? Well, I have no clue. You're going to have to ask the author that. Now imagine it's Friday. Your parents aren't home, you have the whole house to yourself, you sit in your room and start watching a movie and you order pizza. I know it sounds amazing, and to make it even better, you get to do all this with the cutest girl at school. Alright, now you can stop imagining because the last part is not happening, but that's why this manga exists. The manga is called I Became Friends with the Second Cutest Girl in the Class, and here's the Japanese name for it. And here's the name again, and again. So now I better not see anyone in the comments asking for the name of the manga, because if I do, I'll go over to your house at night and take pictures of your feet. Maihara is an introvert that hates going to school. And on his first day, it's already a nightmare for him since the teacher asks them to introduce themselves, and Maihara is the first person. The teacher asks if he has anything he likes to do during the weekend. Maihara explains that his parents aren't home every Friday because of work, and he just spends his time playing video games while having pizza. The teacher gets stunned and asks if he has anything to add to that. Maihara's social battery is already running low, so he didn't add anything to it. But the teacher asks him more questions, putting him through more pain and suffering than my ass cheeks after having Taco Bell. Maihara explains that he's into B movies, especially the ones about sharks. Fortunately for him, that was his last question, and the teacher moved on to another person named Amami Yu. Amami introduces herself, and she is just the opposite of what Maihara is. She tells everyone that she's from an all-girls school, and she moved here with her friend Asanagi Umi. She then encourages Asanagi to introduce herself since she's already talking about her. She got up and introduces herself, and she asks everyone to get along well with Amami. 6 months later, and the boys in class calls Amami the cutest girl, and Asanagi as the second cutest. Don't know about you guys, but I'm all in on Asanagi's stocks. Maihara overhears Amami inviting Asanagi to hang out, but she turns her down and says there's a movie she wants to watch. Maihara hears this, and thinks that maybe she's into shark movies like him, but he brushes it off, since no way someone like Asanagi would be interested in that. Asanagi shows Amami the movie, and she is not interested in it, and that's why Asanagi is planning on watching it alone, but she promises Amami that she'll make it up to her and hang out with her next Friday. Maihara hears them and realizes that today is Friday, and since his mom won't be home, he plans to watch movies and eat pizzas.
Pizza time.
Maihara grabs the pizzas, and bro's been there so many times that the pizza place just knows what he wants. He walks home and thought that if he had friends, everything would be so much better. Maihara walks into a video store and starts looking for movies he'll watch, and his hand came in contact with another person and he apologizes. Turns out it's Asanagi. She asks him if he likes movies around here. Our boy starts panicking, since talking to someone is already scary enough for him, and let alone talking to a female. He might just disintegrate into tiny particles at this rate. He quickly picks up the shark movie and introduces it to her. She looks at it and laughs, suggesting that the movie should have gone with Piranha instead. She then added that it's kind of similar to Kung Fu Shark. Maihara gets surprised that she knew about Kung Fu Shark. He then asks her what movie was she planning to watch alone. She gets confused and tells him that eavesdropping is bad. Maihara apologizes, and she explains that half of her conversation with Amami in class is actually a lie. And her main goal is, she then points at Maihara. He gets confused, and she explains that she wanted to talk to him. Maihara starts blushing, and she hands him the introduction card. Turns out she is into things that Maihara is interested in. He looks at the paper, and Asanagi walks closer to him, and she asks, will he be her friend? It's the next week, and Maihara's mom came down running since she's late for work. Maihara makes her a cup of coffee, and she tells him that she won't be home again today, so he can go ahead and have dinner without her. Maihara then realizes that it's Friday today. His mom asks him if he's made any friends. Maihara inhales an insane amount of copium and says he's fine without one, so don't worry about him. She thanks him for the bento and heads off to work. We get back to when Asanagi asks Maihara to be her friend. He agrees, but he asks her to keep it a secret from the others. He explains that he's afraid people might call her weird and badmouth her if they see her getting along with him. Okay, Why is bro describing himself like he's that kid in class who sits in the corner and plays with his saliva, when in reality he's just an introvert who likes Kung Fu Shark? Nothing wrong about that. Asanagi smiles and says that they're now secret friends. They share contacts, and Asanagi appears at his house the next week. Since then, every Friday Asanagi would come over to his house and play with him. Unfortunately, it's not in an unholy way, but the normal friends way. Asanagi brought in two 2-liter Coke bottles, and she also ordered pizzas.
Pizza time.
Maihara asks what pizza did she ordered. She tells him it's the angel and demon garlic cheese and teriyaki chicken, with cheese and mayonnaise double topping and triple garlic. Just seeing all the ingredients, I now know why they call it angel and demon. Because the first bite will feel like heaven, and once you finish it you'll be 6 feet under in hell, because this right here is a recipe for cardiac arrest. Maihara praises her since he also wants to have a taste of cardiac arrest himself. They cheered and started gaming. She tells him that she'll beat him up, but last time they played, she lost 10 out of 10 times, so her statement wasn't very convincing. They went at each other, and Asanagi lost again. Maihara realizes that she's shit at the video game, but he don't blame her since it's not like she has that much time gaming. They both had fun gaming until they realize that it's already late, and Asanagi says she should be heading home. She suggests she help him with the cleanup. Maihara says it's fine, but Asanagi insists, and she helps gather all the trash. He realizes that Asanagi actually has a really big appetite for a girl, and she's also really into carbonated drinks. He wonders if all girls are actually like this. Asanagi saw him staring at her and calls him a pervert. Maihara explains that he just thought how come she isn't fat, although she eats a lot. Asanagi tells him that it's because she does sports regularly, and she tells him that he could use some workout and pokes him, which made him let out a little noise. Asanagi gets excited hearing this and she started tickling him. All right, the position they're in this panel looks very interesting. Maihara quickly tells her to get home. She tells him that today was fun, and she explains that she was surprised he suddenly invited her to his house. Maihara blushes and tells her that he doesn't have a choice since he doesn't know what friends usually do to hang out. Asanagi understands this and says goodbye. At school, Asanagi sat down and she looks at Maihara. Our boy blushes and quickly turns away. During lunch, he messaged her saying that's a close call since others might find out about their relationship. Suddenly, he hears an older student about to tell another girl something important. He peeps out to see what's going on, and suddenly someone appears behind him. It's Amami and her other friend. She asks Amami if she knows who he is, and she explains that of course she does, since he's in the same class as them. Turns out the girl is Asanagi, and the older student is confessing to her. Maihara starts getting nervous, but he hears Asanagi apologizing to the senpai. She explains that she's just not interested in that kind of thing. Amami and her friend says that that guy is just no good. Amami turns to Maihara and tells him that that guy also said the same thing to her. Amami then explains that Asanagi is really popular, so guys like to approach her out of nowhere, and this is the 5th confession this year. Asanagi apologized once more and she left. Amami and her friend starts leaving and she asks Maihara to keep all this a secret, since Asanagi would be mad if she found out they were spying on her. Amami then asks for his phone and wrote in her number, and she also took his number. Bro really just pulled 2 of the cutest girls in school by doing absolutely nothing. Now that's the infinite Riz glitch. But anyway, don't tell anyone about it, Amami said. It's Friday and Asanagi asks if next Friday he would like to go out. Maihara agrees on a whim, but realizes that he's a League of Legends player, and that grass and sunlight are like his kryptonite. Asanagi explains that she wants to show him a few places that she likes to hang out at, and obviously it'll just be the both of them. Suddenly, Maihara apologizes to Asanagi and reveals that he was having lunch and he accidentally saw her being confessed to. Asanagi gets confused since she doesn't really care, and besides, it was an accident. Maihara then starts talking about how she's been confessed to by 5 guys in just a period of 6 months. She gave him a cheeky smile and asks if he's jealous. Maihara denies the "I'm jealous" allegations, and she asks why not. Maihara then starts saying stuff and explains that being popular seems tiring since the person would always need to worry about making everyone happy. But Asanagi tells him that it ain't that deep, lil bro, besides she's only famous in school, and Maihara be saying it like she's some big idol from B. Kamachi. Maihara gets embarrassed and tells her that he's a hardcore loner, so that's what he thinks. Asanagi smiles and says that's exactly what she likes about him. Maihara gets stunned hearing this, but she adds, as a friend at the very end of it, yikes! She really had to fatality our boy like that. Maihara says he also only sees her as a friend, but as a guy myself, we all know bros capping. They got back on the game and Asanagi has been grinding aim labs, and this time she absolutely cooked our boy like she's Gordon Ramsay. She smiles and says let's have as much fun as we can next week. In school, Amami asks if they're going home together. Asanagi says no since she has some business to do. Amami asks if she's gotten herself a boyfriend since she always seems to be looking forward to something lately. Amami starts freaking out thinking that she might have actually gotten herself a boyfriend. She then asks if there's anything she can help her with since she seems busy lately. Asanagi tells her that it's okay. Meanwhile, Maihara's life force is slowly being deteriorated by the sun. And just then, Asanagi appears behind him. Now I don't know what it is, but girls with caps just make my knees weak. She comments on Maihara being early. Maihara starts freaking out and asks her what are they going to say if they bumped into someone from their school. Asanagi tells him to be honest and tell them what they really are to each other. Maihara starts blushing and she says, just kidding. Asanagi asks if Maihara has any place he would like to go to. Maihara suggests they go to an anime store. They walked in and Asanagi's eyes starts glowing since it's her first time she ever gazes her eyes upon 2D mommy milkers. She then tells Maihara to stop adding the san at the end of her name since it sounds distant. He then tries calling her Asanagi, but this was weird for him, so he apologizes. Asanagi then looks at him and tells him to just call her Umi, which is her first name. Ah yes, we're now in the classic Call Me By My First Name arc of every rom-com mangas, the arc where saying someone's first name is almost equivalent to asking them to have an ungodly wrestling match in bed. Maihara blushes and says just Asanagi is enough for him. Asanagi gets bummed out after hearing this and says she guess we're just not that friendly yet. Maihara says that's his line and calls her stupid. She then says since she's stupid, she's going to check out the unholy zone, the zone where every man would grow a third leg after walking in and end up reading the manga with one hand. They went to look at more mangas and Asanagi says that she's really into battle manga. She then asks what genre does Maihara likes. Maihara says he's really into the just fucking fuck already genre. She takes a look at it and she's surprised since these mangas do not require him to switch hands while reading them. Asanagi then starts reading the manga and says that the characters are all nice, and lately she's been trying to avoid stress, so she hopes she would be able to live in the gentle world of the manga. Damn, she really just spoke the dream of every non-degenerate rom-com manga enjoyer. They then went to eat at a burger's place. Maihara thinks this is a bad place to go for a meal since some students might see them, but Asanagi says it's fine since they're wearing casual clothes. They start eating and she asks where do they go next. She suggests they go to an arcade and take Purakura together, which is like a photo booth. Maihara says the arcade sounds nice, just without the Purakura part. Asanagi smiles and says it's decided then. She then asks if he has seen the movie Angel Shark. Maihara haven't, so she suggests they watch it together next week. Maihara says he would love that. But are you sure you're fine spending every weekend with me? Maihara asked. Asanagi explains to him that it's fine since she spends almost every day hanging out with her friends, and besides, he's the only person that's interested in the same things as she is. Suddenly, two students looks over and wonders if that's Asanagi, the girl who rejected that senpai. Maihara and Asanagi heard this, but the two students aren't sure if that's Asanagi since they're far away. The students then start bad-mouthing her, saying that she probably thinks she's too good for someone like senpai, and besides, she doesn't have a boyfriend and she turned him down for no reason. Asanagi heard this, and she apologizes to Maihara. She then calls him darling and attempt to feed him. Maihara started blushing and she asks, or do you want to feed me instead? She opened her mouth and Maihara puts a fry in her mouth. She laughs, and the two girls think they got the wrong person since Asanagi shouldn't have a boyfriend, and there's no way Asanagi would go for that gloomy guy. She gets mad that they're making fun of Maihara, but he tells her it's fine. Asanagi suggests they ambush them like they're Batman and Robin. Unfortunately, Maihara denies this. They got to the arcade and they got themselves a bunch of medals, and after playing some games, they multiplied it by 3 times. Asanagi gave Maihara a cheeky smile and says this is only getting started and she excitedly move on to a new game. Maihara realizes that in class Asanagi seems so calm and mature, but now she's like a toddler getting to watch Coco Melon. He's happy that he became friends with her. They went to the baseball game and Asanagi is a monster at it. She looks at Maihara and tells him it's his turn. She reminds him that if you hit a home run, you can get a free turn. But knowing Maihara, the chances of him hitting a home run is like the chances of me not being down bad for an anime girl. Damn near impossible. The game starts, and as expected, our boy is out here swinging his bat at John Cena. Asanagi suggests she lower the ball speed, but Maihara starts playing the most motivating song in his head, and he gets back on his knees because just like what his idol says, never back down, never what? He went for it, and he finally hits the ball. They finished, and Asanagi says she's mega tired since it's been so long since she exercised. So Maihara suggests they call it a day. Asanagi looks at him and agrees since it's getting late. She then leaves to go to the bathroom. Maihara starts smiling since he was prepared to be alone throughout his entire high school year, but Asanagi changed that. Suddenly, Amami appears with a group of friends and greets Maihara. Our boy starts panicking since it'll be bad if Asanagi comes back now. Meanwhile, Asanagi is in the bathroom putting on chapstick, and she receives a phone call from Maihara. Her eyes widen as she hears Amami's sound through his phone. Amami asks if he's here with a friend. Maihara says yes, and she gets happy that he's hanging out with a friend since he's always alone in class. She looks at him and tells him that he can call her anytime if he's ever lonely. They can also have a chat during lunchtime if he wants, Amami said. Maihara starts getting nervous and says he'll be going now, but Amami stops him and invites him to join them. Nita interrupts her and tells her that she could be bothering Maihara. Amami looks at her and says, "Could it be that you guys don't want to hang out with Maihara?" Everyone freaks out and denies this, but Maihara denies her invitation. He agrees that it'll be more fun if everyone is together, but today it's supposed to be just the two of them hanging out, and besides, the two of them aren't really into this type of thing. Amami tries to say something, but Maihara cuts her off, apologizes, and walks away. Asanagi pokes her head out a corner and they got back to each other. Asanagi tells him that she used to stand out a lot and she jokingly added that she's smart and cute too. Maihara agrees and she started blushing. But she's saying this because back then she liked being depended on by people around her. But once it becomes a large crowd, she feels like there's an expectation that she has to be on top, and it felt like she was being forced to do things she didn't want to. They got on the train, and Asanagi receives a message from Amami, asking what should she do since she made Maihara angry. Maihara felt horrible since she invited him with good intentions, and bro ran away like he saw a ghost. Asanagi tells him it's fine since she isn't angry with him, she's just concerned that she was being too pushy. Asanagi smiles and says Amami is a good girl. She then gets embarrassed and reveals that she's never had any guy friends before, so that's why she had to rewrite her introduction card and carry it with her 24/7, looking for the right moment to hand it over to him. She removes something from Maihara's head and tells him to sleep and she'll wake him up. She says thank you and calls him Maki, which is his first name. Monday came and our boy is trembling in fear, but not because it's the worst day of the week, it's because he's going to have to meet Amami. He's scared that every guy would crucify him for denying Amami's invitation. He walks into the school and Amami is already waiting for him. She apologizes for what she did last Friday and calls herself an insensitive jerk. She explains that Asanagi would always scold her for that. Just then, Asanagi appears and tells Amami that it's rude to bother Maihara so suddenly, and she apologizes to Maihara for Amami's sake. They got to class, and Maihara tells her that it should be him who apologized to her. Amami gets happy and hugs Asanagi since they made up. Amami then reveals that she wanted to call him and apologize on Friday night, but she says apologizing in person like this is way better. Asanagi gets shocked and wonders how does Amami have Maihara's phone number. Then the teacher walks in and Amami says she'll talk to Maihara later and got to her seat. The students in their class starts asking Asanagi how did Maihara and Amami got so close, but even she herself doesn't know. Asanagi felt nothing but emptiness after finding out about this. Class ends, and all the girls are after Amami asking, how did she and Maihara get so close to each other? Meanwhile, all the boys are after Maihara while asking the same thing. It's lunchtime, and Amami asks if it's a good time since she wants to talk to him about something. But once again, they're interrupted by all their classmates asking the same question. School finally ends. Maihara didn't expect exchanging phone numbers with Amami would cause the whole school to be after him like he's at 5 stars in GTA. Suddenly, Amami appears and grabs both Asanagi and Mahara's hands while dragging them somewhere. The other students try looking for them, but they just disappeared into thin air like Houdini. They got on a bus, and Amami starts celebrating since they've finally escaped. Asanagi asks, "Where is this bus headed?" Amami reveals that she has zero idea, and Maihara says it's most likely going through residential areas. Asanagi then says, "Isn't this the way to Maihara's house?" They got off the bus and got into Maihara's house. Damn, this guy really got 2 of the cutest girls in his house by being an insecure, quiet dude. But when I do this, I end up with 0 friends and everyone just calls me a loser. The 2 girls' eyes starts glowing once they saw how cute his cookie box is, and the most impressive part is that there's actually cookies in them. He made them coffee, and Amami compliments Maihara, saying he's good with his hands. She says maybe it's a sign that he's good at handling house chores, or maybe it's a sign that bro's good at massaging lips. And yes, we're talking about the one below. They sat down and Asanagi asks how did the 2 ended up exchanging numbers. Maihara starts sweating buckets since he can't tell her that he exchanged numbers with Amami while they were stalking her. Asanagi wonders could it be that they're childhood friends or something. Amami reveals that they were watching her, as she was being confessed to, and she kept it as a secret since she'll get mad if she finds out about it. Asanagi tells her that she could have asked about it and she would have told her. But Amami explains that they were there as backup in case that senpai tried doing anything weird. They were getting ready to jump him and 2v1 him like they're in Jumpjutsu Kaisen. Asanagi flicks her forehead, and she tells her that this is her punishment, and she is now forgiven. She also flicked Maihara's forehead, but this one sent him flying straight to the gulag. Asanagi and Amami then hugs each other. Amami apologizes to Maihara for dragging him into this, and tells him that he really cares for his friend. Since back in the arcade, he denies her invitation because he knew his friend wouldn't like it. Amami then says she appreciates the fact that he prioritizes his friend, but Maihara tells her that it's also for his own sake since he really enjoys spending time with this friend of his. Amami smiles and says he must really like that friend of his. Maihara and Asanagi starts blushing, and Maihara tells her that it isn't exactly wrong to see it that way. Amami calls him cute since he's just like a hamster right now. Asanagi then asks her what is it that she wants to talk to Maihara about. Amami stood up and asks Maihara to be her friend. How does bro go from being an absolute loser loner to pulling 2 of the cutest girls by doing absolutely nothing aside from watch Kung Fu Shark? Maybe I gotta start watching that too.